Well, hello. Hello, everybody. How are you all doing? It's a new day. It's a Thursday. Uh, yep, that's what it is, all right. That's a Thursday. Hey, goddess. Welcome on in. What's up? Oh, don't mind me. I'm just stretching. Oh, stretching is good. Oh, you know when you stretch and you really want like your back to pop or something and it to be like, oh, it feels so good. I feel like I'm right on the edge of a back pop, but it doesn't want to do it. So whatever. Don't force it. I am doing well. It is a good day. Work was busy, but it was humorous because of how ridiculous it was. Someday I'll be able to talk about what I do for work and I'll be able to be like, you won't believe what happened that day 10 years ago. No, that'll probably never happen. But hey, you know what? Someday one can dream. I'm doing good. It's a good day. Uh, what am I doing? Well, Monday we did water. Today we're doing water. I'll try to do better with it this time. I found a whole new person to look at their tutorial. I skimmed through it earlier and I really liked how it goes. So I was going to play it full screen so we can look at it and then we can try to replicate, at least as much as we can. It's not as like, I don't know. Everyone's got their style and I really like this person's style and I enjoy listening to them talk. It's a video from 2 years ago. So we'll pull it up here in a minute and play it. And then we can definitely give it a shot. Let me switch to my camera because, why not? Hi. Hello. Yeah. Yeah, no, it's a good day. Um, Gosh, I mean, I wish there was like a minimal way I could talk about how crazy the day was. I guess I don't have to go nuts with it, but the shorthand is we're working on a project, a very long one that's going to be going through the end of next month. And in the process, we are working with contractors. And if anyone out there has ever worked with contractors, you kind of understand just how crazy it can be and the range of skill you get. And let's just say we scraped the bottom of the barrel this time. So truly as much as I can say about it, without being rude or nasty or calling people out. But the reality is, OMG, this morning was crazy. But we got through it. Yeah, we got through it. It was all good. Um, it's just so silly. Like the way I explained what happened to the people I work with, like while we were in the call and we went into a private channel to talk about it, was basically the group that we're using contracts people to work for them, right? And in order to complete their contracts, they probably don't do a great job at filtering out who is going to be the person that's going to show up to do that job. They just sell us on the fact that they're going to have someone got to do their thing and they send someone. Sometimes they are better than you would do. And then sometimes they are just lost, literally and figuratively. This person today was lost. Again, that's as much as I can go with it. And I won't go further. But yeah, it was wacky. It was a wacky day. It was a wacky day at work. A wacky, weird, and wonderful day. Something we can look back at and laugh on. It's a kind of day that, like, at the end of the 6 hour call, like everyone there was like, I don't drink, but I have got to go get drunk. Like it's one of those kind of situations where you just want to just forget about it. All right. Let's forget all of that. Let's look at what we did Monday and then we'll pop on over to that video. It's like a 16-minute video or so, and we can look through that and enjoy the dulcet tones of that person's amazing accent. And then we'll try to replicate at least somewhat what he did. So I've got a stack of things here. Starting with what I did on Saturday when we went to the park. I worked on this when we were sitting outside. And it made me realize, hey, I need to get some practice in doing water. And that made me spread into hey, we need to practice doing all kinds of elements: fire, water, wind, earth, light, rainbow, reflections, sparkles, just like anything you can think of that's like an effect. Like start with elements and then work our way out to do all the things that you see pop in people's videos or in their paintings. I was looking at a video. I want to learn how to do a little bit of all of them. And then at some point I can blend it all together and make more sense. Um, oh, would you say, your contact at the contracting outfit is probably even more stressed about it than you? No, almost definitely not. They don't care. They care, but they're not going to make changes. You know what I mean? Like, we're not going to be the business that makes them be like, oh, you were right all along. We needed to make these massive changes, and you're the ones that made it happen. They don't care. They take our reports and be like, yeah, we'll take care of it. Like, the person literally, okay, no, stop. I'm not going to stop talking. Okay. I gotta stop. Again, someday in the future when it doesn't affect anything, I'll talk about it. But until then, I'm gonna shut the hell up. Okay, so I attempted to do water in a variety of ways. I did at this point, I don't remember which one I did first. I think I did this one because it's lighter. Yeah, I did the lighter one first. So I did this, and I did it while it was so wet that it just spread out. And we'll come back to this because something the guy in the video that we're about to watch mentioned something, and it's something that I think might have happened here a little bit. Um, they don't want to lose the account. I really like that scene, loads of kayakers. Oh, and this guy, yeah, yeah. Oh, they don't care about losing our account. We do business with them because they're cheap. So I'm sure that's a lot of the problems. The people we used to use before them were fantastic, and the business doesn't want to go back to them because they're a little more expensive, but they were expensive because of their quality. And we had a great rapport with them. And during the pandemic, we just dropped them, which was terrible. I had no control over it. But yeah, no, thank you. The kayakers in this one were cute. They came out really good. I was very happy with it. They were very simple to add in. And clearly you can tell they were simple. They were just like a splash of color, a little bit of shadows and shading, and a little person with a little bit of their shadow. And that's it. A little bit of nothing. But from a distance, it starts to look like it was something. So yeah, I'm super happy with how this one came out. Even though it's simple, I like how it came out. And then after this one, we did this one, and I let it dry just a tiny bit too much. Clearly, you can see everywhere it dried because it made. Weirdly, I told my other half that this looks a bit like it's a flat surface that has holes in it because it made such hard lines when it dried. It looks like it's just a field of holes to me. And then I was like, well, to hell with this shit. Let's do 4 of them at once and just try to go nuts with it. And so that's what this one ended up being, is doing 4 of them at once. Can't they do that method where you just do a wash on the background and while it's wet, add the waves in? And it made some pretty things. I don't necessarily see water in any of these. I get the idea. I just need to practice on it to try again and see how this might come out once I can find a way to do it better. But then we shifted to the second part of the last person's tutorial, and it was doing reflections, and I like how those came out. I didn't in the moment. That's where I started getting really bitchy. This one first. I did the big version first, and I was like, I don't like how it's coming out. It just doesn't look great to me. I'm displeased with it. And I kind of like how the bottom part came out, but I didn't like how the reflection did because I wasn't great at matching the color from the island up above in the water. And it just doesn't quite reflect the way I was hoping. You could probably look at it this way and it looks kind of like a reflection. And so you can kind of see it a little bit, but it just didn't quite work. But then I was like, to hell with it, let's try a speedrun version on this cheap thin 5x7 paper just to kind of see what would happen. And this one, I liked how it came out more. It might be because it's smaller. And so the things look more intentional versus accidental. I like how the small one came out better than the big one for sure. I'm sure from a distance this looks great too, but this one I'm definitely happier with. It and clearly with time and practice, it will come out better. But yeah, I like how this one came out a tiny bit more. So we'll come back to this method in the future. I like this one for doing the reflections. But I'll put them to the side for now. Um, Let me make some room to be able to set this all down somewhere. And when we do this next bit after the video, we'll probably be using some of that cheap 5x7 paper to do like some quick speed runs. And then we can try doing a version on the big paper. I think I did it the wrong way around last time, trying to do it on the large paper, and I got dissatisfied with it. And then I went small and I was happier. I think I need to use the small paper that I've got an abundance of to do the quick practice until I'm satisfied with the flow, and then sacrifice a large sheet of paper to try to do it again, but bigger. I think I did it the wrong way around last time. I think I just wanted room to work, and I realized that's actually the wrong decision. I need to do something on small paper so that I can not have to use the whole space. I can use smaller brushes. I can get smaller details. When things are smaller, they tend to kind of become more, I don't want to say more uniform, but it hides the imperfections a little bit more, I think, when it's smaller. So I'm going to set this all down somewhere. Just put it back here for now. You really like the stand of trees on the big one? Yeah. I'm kind of getting a tiny bit better at doing trees. I need to practice them more as well. But yeah, I think I need to figure out a good way to do the trees and do branches, right? I get the idea, and sometimes I don't quite get it right, so it looks really phony. Um, yeah, that's also my list of many things. With elements, I also want to figure out plants. That's going to be a hard one for me because figuring out organic life is just so difficult. You can be abstract with plants, but I think to be abstract with plants, you have to have a general understanding of what it actually looks like so that people can draw a conclusion from your abstractness and know that it is what you're trying to make it look like it is. You know what I mean? If I try to do like an abstract rose without knowing the formation of what a rose looks like, it's not going to look like a rose, is it? You know, you just need there's certain like aspects of everything that like, oh, if you have a little bit of this going in this direction, a little bit of this going in this direction, it becomes this object. You have to know the structure to be able to make those things work. And I need to figure out that structure, if you know what I mean. Okay. And now, for your viewing pleasure, not me coughing in your ear. Let me pull up the video of the gentleman we're going to look at. It's this guy right here. His name on YouTube is Wildlife in Watercolor. I love that. You can tell by the way he spells watercolor, Lour, that he is some kind of British. And that's exactly what he sounds like. And I think based on his actual username, which is, I saw it, the Devon artist. Devon. That's British. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's where he's from. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. And you can already see what he's going to make. But we get to look at the process. So let me full screen this and let's have a watch and a listen.
Today I'm going to show you how to paint water using watercolours, following my very simple and straightforward process. So I think it's about time we got started, don't you? Let's get the brushes wet. Okay, the first thing you want to do is get some tape around the paper. We need to make sure this is firmly stuck down because it will warp a little bit as we add the water onto the paper. And I'm just using a low tack, nearly invisible tape. Also crease down the corners as well, use your finger or your nail. Because when we add the water, very often the water goes into these little corners there and gets underneath the tape, okay? Okay, grabbing an old brush, a little bit of water, drop some water into my mixing wells first of all. Probably a couple of drops or so each, something like that will do. First of all, I'm going to go for my Payne's grey. Now this is very loose now, so just squeezed out of a tube. But I need plenty in there. I'm going to make this more of a milky consistency, I'd say. Now I do have a video on how to fill the half pounds as well. I'll pop a little link to the top right hand corner for you if you're interested, okay? And always make sure you've got more than you think you'll need. We'll thicken this down later on anyway. And then I'm going to go into the indigo and pop that one in there. Again, more to a milky consistency. And then I need a little bit of green, so I'm going to go for a little bit of iridium green. So it's quite a bright green viridian. Any sort of bright green will do, emerald green, you could use phthalo green, anything like that will be fine. And I think that will do for now. Now, wetting the paper. I'm going to use a 1/2 inch mop brush. And this is a squirrel hair mop brush, but you can get synthetic versions as well. So first thing you want to do is wet the paper, but wet it at least 2 or 3 times. Because at least that way around, it will stay wetter longer. Now this paper I'm using today is a 140 pound arch paper. And let that soak into the paper just for a minute or so. Now,
I think this is the same guy from the last video. His name was Paul as well. I think it's the same guy.
Now, unless you've stretched your paper, you start to see the paper warp a little bit. And that's because it's really wet, obviously, on the top. Now, this will dry fairly flat afterwards, but I'd recommend for this sort of method, either stretch your paper first of all, or use a block pad, which is already kind of sort of pre-stretched in a way and glued all the way around the edge. If you've never used a block pad before, again, I've got a little video for that to the top right, okay? Okay,
right?
That should be
this guy's
wet.
seal is amazing.
Yeah, that'll do. Now I'm going to use a very large brush, a size 18. This is a Pan Art Series 1181 Premium Mop. And this is a synthetic brush. So if I wet it first and take most of the water off, I could stay to that now, it's wet, I know. I'm going to start off with a little bit of the Payne's Grey, okay? Right at the very top of the paper. And start to paint that in. Then I'm going to go in with a little bit of indigo straight over the top. Look at that. Whoa. That's a fantastic colour, isn't it? It really is. I'm going to bring this one all the way down towards the middle or thereabouts. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to start to increase that colour again around here. Okay, trust me on this. Make sure most of that paint is off the brush and then go back to where you started and then blend that out, sort of the horizon really. Something like that will do. I'm going to start to bring this colour down now. I'm going to increase the intensity of the colour as well, just by adding a little bit more pigment onto the paper. And then we get a little bit of our green, drop that in there as well, not much, it's very strong. Very strong in fact.
Hello is laughing.
And then a small amount of the Payne's Grey, just down the very bottom. You find the sea will reflect the sky, so it's going to be the same sort of colours throughout the sea and the sky. Now if it's too much, take most of that paint off the brush, like so, and then very lightly blend and gently lift some of that paint off, like that, just to soften it down. I'm going to get some kitchen roll, all folded up like that. I'm going to take it down the side of my paper just to neaten it out, to get rid of that surplus water off my board here. A little tip as well before
I should start doing that.
What you can do, grab yourself a size 4 brush, something like this one here, and this particular one, out of interest, is a Rosemary & Co. Series 3.
I have that problem all the time. That's such a smart idea. I'm going to start doing it where before I go to dry anything, I notice I've got pools of water on the tape and it takes forever to dry and it often doesn't. And then I tend to lean into it by accident, get it on my hand, and it just makes a mess. And there's a danger of it running back up in the painting. I absolutely am going to start drying that section off before I move on or before I dry in the future. It should help a lot.
01, as I say, size 4. And what you can do is lift off a little bit of paint in places, get some kitchen roll in your hand, like that. And then gently, very gently, lift off a little bit of paint here and there, just to lighten certain sections before it starts to dry. And because it's still damp, this will fade as well as it dries. Keep rinsing that brush out every now and then and give it a quick dry. And it's just lifting off a little bit of paint here and there to create the very beginnings of some waves as well, or just ripples on the water even. And vary the thickness. You can see how well that's blending back together again. Now the only thing is, when you start doing something like this, what will happen is that the paper will start to dry. And if you look sideways at that sheet of paper and look across the sheet of paper, you find that where you first applied that paint, i.e. the top, will start to dry the soonest, of course. So therefore, you've got to be careful. If you start going any higher, then you will start to lift off more paint than you want to lift off. You want these to be very faint and very blurry. So it's got sharp edges on there, that means it's starting to dry around there at the moment. So just a few basic effects is all we're after here to begin with. And you'll find as well, if it doesn't lift off very well and just kind of blends back in together again, it's a little bit too damp at the moment. So just give it half a minute or so and then do the same thing. They can lightly blend them if they're a little bit too sharp. And I think that will do. Now I'm going to give it a quick blast with a hairdryer. Okay, it's nice and dry. We're still got our colours made up. I'm going to use a size 2. This is a Tintoretto series 1337. So I'll try that one first of all and see how well that one works. Okay. Now the first thing I want to make sure of is that the colours are still quite milky. I don't want them too thick at this stage. I'm going to load the brush up. Okay. Something like that. Give it a tap or two. If you're not sure, get some scrap paper and just give it a quick test on some scrap paper. So you see how bright it is and how kind of intense it is. And it's not too bad. We'll try that one first of all and see how it goes. Now, here we are. Are you ready? Let's do it. Oh, excited. I'm going to start further down because if it is too strong, then at least then you know you're fine further down. But obviously when you go higher up as well, you want this to be very pale the higher that you go. So when you go probably to this height here, then you want the lines to be fairly pale around that area there. Now, the lines themselves, I'm just going to apply the paint very lightly to begin with, using just horizontal strokes. That's it. Sometimes you can go a little bit wayward, make them slightly curved if you want to. Depends on the sea, depends on what kind of effect that you want. If you want a sea that's quite rough, then you need like little M's, elongated M's, that sort of thing, or bumps. Little hillocks. Anything like that.
I know, right? So, that type of brush was it is a brush. It's not a pen. It's not a type I have. There's so many different cuts of brush that exist out there. I didn't catch what kind this is. He said, um, it's definitely one that tapers to a point on the tip. So we'll have to go back and look at what that is.
Just to create some texture on the water. That's all I'm doing to begin with. Very lightly, barely touching the paper, so literally 2 hairs and air. That's all it is. Okay, a little bit more. Don't overload that brush. So I'm going to load it, I'm going to give it a roll, pull it away, give it a tap or two on some kitchen roll, and then start to apply that once again. As you get lower down, these lines are going to get thicker and more pronounced. So what I'm going to do down here, I'm going to apply the line like this and then put some little bit of weight on the brush, then pull off like that. So again, pull off. Again, pull off. So it gets a nice sort of tapered edge. A bit like a leaf shape really, isn't it? And you can do this all the way towards the bottom. Now, as I say, the higher up the paper that you go, the thinner the lines will be and the lighter the lines will be as well. Let's do a few more now. As I mentioned, thin them out and lighten them as you go higher up the paper. The paint's great. Give it a bit of a mix because it does separate sometimes when you're mixing well. Start off with a fully loaded brush. And I'm going to go down here actually. Let's try right at the very bottom just for safety really to begin with. Just to make sure it's about right. Then add those thicker, darker lines, taper, remember? Put on the pressure and then come off that pressure as you come away. And it depends if you want a wave in there as well. I mean, I might want a little wave probably around there. So I'm going to just lift that up a little bit there as well. I also find that if I leave a few light gaps in between as well, so you can see where the light areas are, then it's going to help the differences in colours. Even though we're using just 3 colours, at the moment anyway, I'll show you another one in a bit, okay? Let's go for some green. Oh, look at that. I'll tell you what I'm going to do actually. Oh, it's very bright, isn't it? I'm going to get a little bit of our indigo, just pop it in there, just to kind of tint it a little bit. So it's a little bit too bright, that green. Look how bright that green is, very bright. I'm going to just a touch of this in places now. Maybe a little bit more blue in there. That's better. Try that. just to brighten up certain areas. And these are the areas that are going to have just those little ripples in places as well. Blend this shortly as well. It's a little bit too bright. Probably a little bit down there, a little bit down there, and a little bit down there. And that will probably do for now, just a hint of it. Clean brush. Take most of the water off. Then very lightly blend the green areas. A bit more water there, Paul.
Okay, Bear, now you do it. We're getting there. He's almost done, I think. Yeah, there's just a couple of minutes left.
A little bit of watery green, very watery, so a little bit of water in the corner there. Just in places, just for a tint of colour in places around the water. There you go, something like that. Yeah. Now I'm going to do a small amount of lifting off, and this particular brush is a Rosemary & Co. Eradicator. It's a small one as well. You've got two different sizes, I think. So dampen that brush down.
I want that. A brush called the Eradicator.
They can use that to start to lift off a small amount of paint in places as well. So say, for example, you wanted a highlight coming down the centre, where maybe the sun, which is in the clouds, just catching the water towards the middle. They can start to lift off little highlighted areas like this. Now, when you use a brush like this, or you can use your homemade one, I do have a video on that, by the way, on how to make your own sort of lifting off brush. Have a look to the top right hand corner for that one. I'm going to try lifting off a few little lines here and there above each individual wave which I've got. Just create some highlighted areas there. Now also bear in mind that the further away you go again, these lines need to be smaller. So if you're going to lift off paint higher up in this area here, do some very tiny marks like this, look, very, very tiny. So they're barely discernible. But just about make them out. There's just one odd one there now, look. Now if you do use a brush like this, make sure as well that your brush is more vertical. Again, it's difficult for me to show you that on the camera because of the angle of the camera.
Oh, it absolutely is one of those. All you have to do is this, and it's done, and you can do it too.
My hand will
we might have better luck with this one.
If you have it a little bit more vertical when you're doing the lines, you find them lines are very fine, and just graze that paper. That's all you want to do. Now then, let's start working on these little waves we've got in there as well. I'm just going to use a little bit more of my Payne's Grey. So a small amount of paint on the brush. I'm using the very tip of this brush, see how pointy it is. It's a very good brush this actually, I must admit. And then very lightly, bring down some lines in more of a gentle curve. So I'm barely touching the paper here. Think about the shape of that wave. If you want to have a look at a little review on this particular brush, got a little video to the top right hand corner as well, where I review not just this one, but other brushes at the same time. And then I can get a small amount of green again. Make sure it's nice and watery this time. Really watery like that. Okay. And bring down some green into that wave.
Alright.
Like so. Okay. So we've got a gentle sweep coming that way, haven't we, on that particular wave. I'm going to do a few more though as the same way now. Don't forget you can vary those colours as well. So you can use that indigo we've already got, just to vary the colour within the waves. Let's try that now. Now then, here we go. My special little touch for this is by using a little bit of white paint. So any white paint will do, watercolour wise. You can use white gouache if you want to, or in this case it's watercolour white. This is one by SAA. Okay, there's a variety of different ones on the market. Just happens to be the one I'm using at the moment. Now your white paint needs to be opaque. If it's semi-opaque or semi-transparent, something like that, you find it won't stand out enough. Now, here we go. Load the very tip of the brush up to begin with. You want this more of a creamy consistency. A little bit of water. Okay, so just load that up, give it a roll and pull away. You don't need to tap it this time around. And then, straight to the paper, here we go. Start applying a little bit of white in places. Okay. Very small marks of white paint like this. Remember, the higher you go up, you know the system now, I know you do. The smaller the lines and the finer the lines, the shorter. Don't go overboard with the white paint. It's so easy to get carried away with it, it really is. Now, when you're working on a wave, with white paint, what you can do, you can very lightly start to put some little tiny marks in there. So squiggle it around. So let your hand shake a little bit, like that. Just to make sure you've got some small little marks within that wave. And then to the very top of the wave, bring that line down
So
and then
silly.
taper it out. Got it? Bring
I think
that
he's
line
almost
down
done.
like this
He
and then
is, yeah.
taper it out like so. So reload that brush. And let's do another one over here. So again, the top of the wave, then taper it out. Break that line up as well, so it's not too neat or too even. If I just reload that again, a bit more water in there, I think. As I mentioned, if I do add too much water in there, what will happen is that you'll find it will just fade as it dries. It goes very pale. So then what we can do, pull up a few little lines like this in little tiny arcs, like that, to create the sort of a wave effect. Then the lines sort of taper out as it gets towards the edge of the wave there, look. So it's quite effective that, isn't it? Just on one little wave. Then do the same with the other waves as well. But again, remember what I said, don't go overboard with the watercolour white, or white gouache, or whatever white paint you're using. If you want a little bit of light coming down the middle of the sea, what you can do is start
Okay.
towards the middle, like that, like so, and start to add in the lines down the centre. And by doing so, you create more of a light effect. Remember, they get smaller and smaller and finer the higher they go up the.
Okay, buddy. Okay. You think you know everything. No. Okay, let's see if we can make this work. All right, so how can I do this? Let me adjust this, scoot this over here, and shrink it down, and put it up here. Okay. And leave that there for the moment. And then we can try it out. Nope, go for it. I'm going to get prepped on my end so I can figure out what to do. Yeah, let me get my paper and everything ready to go. All right. I do have my small cheap paper here, so I might do like I said and try a practice run or two. Yeah, maybe I'll tape down these two and do some practice runs on small paper before we hit a higher quality paper. And maybe I'll actually pull out the Arctos for this one because I've got some and I never use it because I'm always afraid. I want to save it for the good stuff. So maybe we'll try it just for the sake of like water absorption. All right. So let me hose down my palette with some water. Especially the greens and blues like he was using. All right. I need to refill that. No, that was half full. It's fine. All right. I've got my water ready to go. For brushes, he used a mop brush, so I can have that at the ready. He used a thinner brush, not a round brush, but I'm going to use a round brush for part of it. So I'll have that at the ready. And I think I've got two script brushes. I don't have what he had, but I do have script brushes, these guys. And when they're wet, they cinch up pretty nicely. Yeah. So when they're, well, for the most part, when they're wet, they form a pretty decent tip. So I could probably use those for the fine tip things that he did. So I'll have those at the ready as well. Let me grab some tape. All right. Let me get these together. All right. Gotta feed the fur kids. All right. Get that one. All right. All right. Interesting point of note that he had said earlier. Basically, in short, that if you don't use pre-stretched paper when your paper gets wet, it will buckle and form these valleys. So when you go to do big washes, I'm not doing a great job at taping this, but these are practice, so it doesn't really matter. Um, it'll form these valleys. So when the paper gets really wet, it'll rise up and like a dome when it gets wet on the one side. And so using paper that has been pre-stretched or is on a block should help mitigate most of that. Not all of it, but most of it. Alternatively, the thing he also suggested that I did not do on Monday was wetting it with the mop brush 2 or 3 times, and I only did the one really. So maybe wet it down really well once and let it like half dry, and then hit it again and let it half dry, and then hit it one more time. And then once it's nice and saturated, I can work on it and it won't dry quite as quickly. At least that's the goal. And I'm sure switching to a good paper will help too, because he was using Arches paper as well. So I may, for the final one, like I said, I may switch to Arches there as well. All right. For the moment, I'll turn the image in the corner off, but I will bring it back here in a minute. Okay. All good. Stream looks good. We have ads in 30 minutes, so we've got gobs of time. Fantastic. All right. Let me bring that back full screen. There he is, and put him back up in the corner. All right. Okay. Oh, I guess it would be nice. Let me actually do a nice thing. Copy, boink, and go back to our chat. And I will paste the link to that YouTube video in chat. So if you want to follow along, if you've got the tools and the resources to play, by all means, paint along with me. Do better than me, please. Yeah. Okay. So let's think this through. We'll try to remember what he did, and then if we need to rewatch portions of the video, we can. But the goal is just to leave that up in the corner as like a visual reminder. So he wet down the paper a few times. So we'll do that. Let it go. I can probably do that first step now just to get it done. Let me snag some water. And let's just do one for now. I don't want to do the other side just yet. So I'll just wet this one side down. Okay, and we'll let that sit for a little bit. Okay, so once we wet this down, let it dry a little bit, wet it down, let it go a little bit more, and just really try to super saturate this piece on the side. We'll do his wash that he did from the top and work our way down towards the middle. So we'll do Payne's Gray, which I have, Indigo, which I have, and he used a couple of varieties of green or a variety of green I don't have, but I've got Cupid green, light and deep. So we can use those. And we'll just do a touch of that to the side. I could get an individual palette if I wanted to. I mean, it's not necessary, but I could do, let me look what I've got. Didn't I have these? Was it in the next one down? Oh, it's down here. Okay. Okay. Got that guy. Big boy. I can put this over here, and maybe we can scoot this guy over, and we'll just have some working room in that. Put my brushes over here for them on it. Yeah, and then we can just have, let me scoot this over a tiny bit this way. Yep. Let go of my finger. Jeez, that painter shape was holding on. Yeah. So we'll get some indigo in here, some Payne's gray, and then one of my greens over here to the side, and we'll darken it a tiny bit with some of the indigo like he did, and we'll have ourselves 3 wells of color at the ready for when this is ready to go. But I'll prep that right before we use it. And we'll stick with just the 3 colors, and then maybe for funsies when we get close to it, I'll use not this one. This one. I don't have a gouache white. I have acrylic, but that one dries hard and it leaves like permanent paint in the bottom, and I don't want to do that in any of my watercolor palettes. I tend to use it when I make stars on any of my space scenes. So I try to preserve it for that. I still got a decent amount of that in there. But I do have a liquid watercolor ink that's white, a Chinese white. So it might be fine for adding the accents like he did. So I'll keep it out to the side over here, just to be at the ready. So I'll give it a good shake and have it over here waiting when we get to it. I think this is still fairly wet, but it's definitely got a little buckle going on. This paper for damn sure is going to buckle. This is incredibly thin stuff. It's I've got the box of it here. I got this for experimenting going through my laser printer so that I can test printing things directly on it. If you've not seen that, I've got some samples. Oh, I had to say that, and it's like all the way over there. Somewhere. I don't know where I put them, to be perfectly fair. But imagine, if you would, putting watercolor paper through a laser printer. There's only a few ways that can possibly work. One, the paper has to be thin, like cardstock thin, right? And typically when you put paper through like cardstock paper through any printer, it needs to be the straightest path possible, right? Just like you do labels, printing labels out, you don't really want them to bend, because when it bends, things happen. Typically thicker paper will jam, right? Almost immediately, unless your printer is built to handle it. Mainly inkjet printers are. Laser printers don't really like cardstock too much unless it's literally a straight path, like I mentioned, through the printer with no bending as it goes through it. Like most printers, you put them in a tray and it curls and prints and then it comes out on top, right? So it's got some bending as it goes through the paper path, which doesn't always work really well for thick paper. So standard watercolor paper, I tried, it jams. It just won't work on my printer. But this stuff, for comparison, before I say it, typical paper that I use is like this kind of stuff, 140 pound or 300 GSM, however you want to say it, 140 pound. This in particular is cold press paper. This is this 5x7 paper. It's a good bit thinner. It is 230 GM or GSM. I don't know what the pound equivalent is for that. Maybe 100. I don't know. I don't keep track of that. But the point is, based on the weight of the paper, a lower value means that it's thinner. So this stuff is great for printing on, but not so much for painting on. Great for scratch paper though, and for stuff you don't really truly care about. So I have a lot of it. It comes in a box. My plan was to test using this for a project that I was wanting to work on to make a product to sell. We'll see how that goes. But I may have to go for a thicker paper and get a better quality printer someday that will actually allow me to feed it on that straight path like I was talking about. And it's better to do that with ink as well too. Apparently, if you do too big of a printout on watercolor paper and then go to paint on it, the paint resists going into and on that, which could be good. But also when the paper gets really wet, it will start, when it starts to buckle, the areas that were laser print, that toner will come off and flake off of the paper. So it doesn't look as good. And it starts getting really messy. So it doesn't work perfectly, but I've used it enough in test prints that it seems to be fine. I just don't like using it for stuff I care about. But for this, should be great. But yeah, it was just a huge bulk. I don't remember how many sheets is in this, like 300, 150, something like that. But just a huge bulk watercolor paper box for really cheap on Amazon. So it was a really good deal to get that for that much scratch. I'll have it forever. Um, but because of that, it will probably dry. See, this is already bone dry completely on this side. And all I've got for it is a bunch of riffles in the paper. So let me wet this down again, and then we'll start playing with it. Again, the Arches paper is going to do better, and it's going to hold onto the water so much better. I don't think I'll have to worry about it so much. So let's go ahead and hit that. And for good measure, I'll go up and down to try to even it out a little bit. But because of this being cheaper and because it buckles, the paint is going to want to flow from the tops of the mountains into the valleys. So it's going to collect everywhere the paper is not buckled. So that's not going to look as good. So let's go ahead and prep our wells of paint. Let me get some Payne's Gray first. I realize he put some water in his wells. So let me he used a dropper, which I have. I just don't have it out, so that's fine. I'll just spray it in there. All right, Payne's Gray. You can go over here, my friend. Hello, darkness, my old friend. Let's grab a little bit more, get it a little darker, milkier, as he said. Okay, and I'll actually keep this piece over here. This can be that little scratch piece, and we can see how dark it is. It's kind of faint, to be fair. Let's grab a little more. Any darker? Tiny bit. Let's go darker. Ba, 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 ba. Ba, 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 ba. Yeah, that's darker. Because then I can thin it as it goes. Okay, that's a good start. Let's get some indigo just as dark. Rinse this off. Indigo, my favorite color. Indigo. Okay. And how dark is that? Oh, really dark just to start. We're going to leave it just that consistency. I think that's plenty dark. Spotify, I don't care. Right, let's pick a green. I'll go ahead and do this Cupid green. I think this is Cupid green light. I never remember which one this is. Back in the camera. That is Cupid green deep. Cupid green deep. 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 Right. Okay, we've got ourselves a green. I think maybe we'll do like she did and get a little bit of our indigo in there to darken it slightly. That wasn't anywhere near enough. Maybe we'll just pull some indigo right from there. Yeah. Oh, that's a little darker. That should be good. All right. It's still fairly wet. We've definitely got some pooling, I think. Not, yeah, it's not a great paper, but we're going to practice with it. Yeah. Let me get some paper towel. Help. Whoa. Okay. Just be prepared to blot up some of this quantity of water that is pooled. All right. Keep that to the side. What's on here? Nothing? Great. Let's do paint the gray like he did and start at the top. No. It's good stuff. And we'll just let it work its way down, 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 until it's faded to almost nothing. And maybe a tiny bit more. I'll go back over it. And then he hit some indigo. He went back over it. And let's hit some more down here. Gosh, I'm drying already right there. Become wet. God, you can hear how dry the paper is already. I can, at least. All right. Anyway, let's probably should go for a larger round brush, but we'll let it ride for now. Yeah. I don't know that that's quite as pale as his was, but we'll go with it for now. Yeah, it looks like it wants to get darker as it goes down. All right. I love your username. I'm trying to figure out how to pronounce it. Fibristic? We're going to go with it. Thank you so much for joining. I appreciate you for being here. I get frustrated when I watch the pros do these painting demos and it looks so easy. Frickin' tell me about it, right? We're going to try. Again, these first two here are on really cheap-ass paper, and it's just to practice on this, and then we'll try to do it as close to what, I think it was Paul, to what Paul, this gentleman, did on a higher quality paper, a bit larger, on some arches. We'll see how it goes. I don't fully know, but we're going to give it a freaking shot. So let me think. The first thing he did after he got this down while it was still wet is he went back with a clean, mostly dry brush and tried pulling back some of it. So lifting it up. So let's try to pick some spots. And oh yeah, it might be a bit too big. I might need to switch to a smaller brush or just use the tip of it and try to be gentle with it. Yeah, that's probably a better idea. I'll just try to be I don't mean to be all ASMR on you, but I'm right in front of the microphone where I'm at. So hi, everybody. How are you doing? You doing pretty good? Anybody else out there have a rough day? I know how that feels. But you know what? It's going to get better. Does that feel weird? It feels weird to me. Feels really weird. How people do ASMR feels like I don't want to be too sensual in your freaking earbuds. I mean, you've got people in your life that you can find that you can do that with. I don't need to be the one doing it to you. Okay. Do a couple little small guys here and try to just graze the paper. It's hard to do with this brush. I really might have to switch to one of these script brushes for the really, really tiny bits that he does. I don't know how he does that. But while it's wet, it will even back out. Have trust in the process, they say. The process will be fine. The process will set you free. The power of 3 will set you free. Anybody else love watching Charmed? I love Charmed. Okay. So going back to the beginning of his video, he wrote it all down. Yep, yep. He started pulling up some of it. Mine's way too big. I might have screwed it over on this one already, but I will switch to a smaller brush on the next patch. And then he loved the original Charmed. Me too. You know, I never watched the remake. Because I mean, you can't really beat the original 3. But yeah, I think I don't know. Someday I might give the new one a chance. Like most people, when you watch something that's the original show and then it's over and you're like there from the beginning and you're hooked on it, like anyone that tries to come up and do a reboot or a remake of your show, it just takes away from it, doesn't it? Or at least it feels like it takes away from it. You kind of learn to love and hate it. I try to give them a chance. Sometimes they're great. But when you grew up knowing and loving the original, it just kind of it eats at your soul, knowing that someone has gone and taken the characters you loved, ignored everything about them, and changed them into some new modern hip way that just kind of decimates what the original was about. So sad. You like the new one a lot and love the original? Not to me. See, it's completely dependent on one person. Goddess here seems to be completely open to at least some. I don't know all. I can't say everything, but some remake ideas. Like she was very fond of the idea of someone remaking Star Trek Voyager, which to me is blasphemy. But at the same time, I would be willing to accept it. I have no problem with the idea of someone remaking Voyager, but I mean, how do you compete with the original? Like, it is a competition at that point. Anything you can do, I can do better and more modern, fewer episodes with more money, but it could be amazing. It could be stellar. Because there's people that love the original series and they complain about all of the J.J. Abrams remakes, the movies, and the like Strange New Worlds and Discovery and all that on Paramount Plus. Like I'm okay with them. And then like Strange New Worlds is amazing. Like it's come to its own as an amazing, amazing show. And other ones like the Charmed remake they did, I have not seen one single episode, so I can say jack shit about it. It might be fucking amazing. I just don't know because I've never watched it. I've never given a shot, right? There's a lot you liked about the new one, more diverse cast. Like I know nothing about it except I think they're I see. I don't even want to say anything about it. I just all I know is that it exists. I think did they even use the same house? I feel like they did, but I'm not sure if they did or not. Okay, so he did the thin dark lines, and then he went in and did the thicker lines. I didn't catch if that was with the indigo. I think it was. I can try it. Let's look. What was the beginning of this step?
Yeah, that's all it is. Okay, a little bit more.
That's
Don't overload
indigo.
that brush. So I'll load it, I'm going to give it a roll, pull it away, give it a tap or two on some kitchen roll, and then start to apply that once again. As you get lower down, these lines are going to get thicker and more pronounced. So what I'm going to do down here, I'm going to apply the line like this and then put some little bit of weight on the brush, then pull off like that.
Yep, I managed to put some of it on there.
Again, pull off. You get a nice
Higher up,
sort of
and
tapered edge.
it's
Bit like a leaf shape, really,
a
isn't
little
it?
bit too
You can do this
thick.
all the way towards the bottom. Now, as I say, the higher up the paper that you go, the thinner the lines will be, and the lighter the lines will be as well.
Sure.
Let's do a few more now.
Yeah.
As I
That'll be
mentioned,
light.
thin them out and lighten them.
Okay, so he went deep. He went deep with the color, and he started going with indigo. So, all right, I'm just moaning into my paper. All right. My waves don't look like your waves. His waves are my waves. His waves are your waves. It's always a funny day when you laugh at your own stupid humor. All right. I don't generally like remakes of shows that I really liked originals of. That already looks so much better than the last round. You think so? Nice. We'll see how it goes. It's oh yeah, it's very wet right there. We'll see. We've got time. We've got time to play with it and see what it's going to turn out to be. Was I supposed to let this dry? I'm supposed to let this dry. No wonder. Oh, what a fool am I? That's okay. We got another one over here. We can try it on here in a minute. I forgot. I was supposed to pull up pull up some of the wash and then dry it and then start with these lines with the waves. And I completely forgot about that. And I've been putting it on while it's still wet. I mean, it's not like it's made the entire difference in the whole thing, but it is a thing to keep in mind. I do have a smaller round brush I could use too instead of the script brush. That would probably do these waves a little better. So on the next pass, I'll give that a shot as well. What does he do next? You really got the gradient down? The gradient's good. I'm happy with the gradient. That came out great. So at least I know I can do that part. The lines on the waves are the part that I'm a little blood on. So we might, before we even hit this second sheet, we might grab a scratch sheet of paper or this one up here and practice our brush strokes for the waves and try to get some of what he's done, here with these darker indigo lines, and try to find a way to get these nice brush strokes. I could do it with a decent sized round brush, and that's probably my problem. I try to use a script brush and it doesn't have any girth to it. I mean, that's the only word I can think of right now. Width, girth. I mean, that's what it is. It's a script brush. It's thin, from end to end. So I can't really. Yeah, I'd have to put my hand underneath that for you to see it. Yeah, so it's really thin. So next time I do it on here, I'll do like a actual. I'll probably use this small. Let's give it a shot really quick. It's indigo. All right, here we'll just do like a. Ooh. Oh, see, that wasn't even wet enough. Come on, you jerk. Yes, is it this paper? Is it me? It's like why does everything I do suck? No, it's good. It'll be fine. Yeah, it's like, you know what I mean? Like you start with a taper and you push down and then you raise. And that's what he was doing. So I can do that with a round brush. I can't do that with a script brush. It's got no girth to it. It's got no capability to do the same thing. Maybe a tiny bit, but nothing. Yeah, see, it just stays thin. There's no way to get like a thick, like a leafy, like a thick wavy thing out of it. It just doesn't go that thick. So I'll keep that in mind for the next one, but I can still play around with the other things he did to see how this first one comes out. And then we'll do some tests on the scratch paper, and then we'll try the second scratch piece to do the same effect. And once we get satisfied with it, we can hit some arches on a larger canvas and give it a shot. All right. Okay, let's see what he did next. Yeah. Oh, The only time I haven't liked remakes usually is because it's a crappy American remake of a brilliant British show. I get you. There's a lot of them. I haven't a lot of the ones that I have been told of, I've not seen. Like, I think, isn't there like a British version of The Office and then the American one? But the American one was really good. Am I thinking of a different show? Maybe I don't know. I get what you mean though. Like, okay, great example. The Great British Bake Off. Well, the American Bake Off is garbage by comparison. Even though it's got most of the time the same hosts, it's not the same because the Americans that they have on as contestants are freaking Americans and they act like Americans, which is disgusting to say because I unfortunately or fortunately, whatever, I know, I live here, I am one. But sometimes you just get disgusted. British people are so fucking proper. I love them for it. And they're so supportive. And I love them for that too. And it's just watching the British Bake Off is just a life changing experience by comparison to any American rendition they can make of it. I'm actually not even caught up on the latest seasons of the British Bake Off. I'd love to catch up on that. Where am I? What does he do next?
Go higher up the paper. The paint's great. Give it a bit of a mix because it does separate sometimes when you're mixing well. Starts off with a fully loaded brush.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go down here actually. Let's try right at the very bottom just for safety really to begin with. Just to make sure it's about right. Then add those thicker, darker lines, taper, remember? Put on the pressure and then come off that pressure as you come away. And it depends if you want a wave in there as well. I mean, I might want a little wave probably around there. So I'm going to just lift that up a little bit there as well. I also find that if I leave a few light gaps in between as well, so you can see where the light areas are, then it's going to help the differences in colours. Even though we're using just 3 colours, at the moment anyway, I'll show you another one in a bit, okay? Let's go for some green. Oh, look at that. I'll tell you what I'm going to do actually. Oh, it's very bright, isn't it?
I'll tell you what I'm going to do.
A little bit of our indigo. Just pop it in there, just to kind of tint it a little bit. So it's a little bit too bright, that green. Look how bright that green is, very bright. Got just a touch of this in places now. Maybe a little bit more blue in there. That's better. Try that. Just to brighten up certain areas. And these are the areas we're going to have just those little ripples in places as well. Blend this shortly as well. It's a little bit too bright. Probably a little bit down there, a little bit down there, and a little bit down there. That we'll probably do for now. Just a hint of it. Clean brush. Take most of the water off. Then very lightly blend the green areas. A bit more water there, Paul.
Oh, I also did need green in the gradient on the bottom. I'll have to do that on the next pass. Like I find what I'm doing is
put a little bit of watery green,
just putting marks on the paper, whereas he tend to have like
a tint of colour in places around
intention on where he went.
There you go, something like that. Yeah. Now I'm going to do a small amount of lifting off, and this particular brush is a Rosemary & Co. Eradicator. It's a small
Eradicator.
Got 2 different sizes, I think. So dampen that brush down.
So, yeah, I'm really going to have to go back through this and practice it again, because clearly I've gotten some things very badly wrong here. And I kind of get where. So I'll carry on for now. I'm not going to do the white because I feel like it's not worth it on this one. But I think I'll have to. Oh yeah, God, I'm just not doing great with it. You know, it's the typical thing. You watch somebody and it's like, okay, well, they made it look really easy. No, it's easy when you've got a skilled hand, a skilled eye, a skilled mind. You've done it before for 20 years. I'm using the same excuses I did last time on Monday, but it is the truth. I mean, ultimately, right? It doesn't matter. It's all practice. I can make it whatever I want it to be. If it isn't great, it simply isn't great. and it doesn't really and truly matter. It doesn't really affect the end of my day. I don't have to get upset and out of shape about it. I just try again. I mean, this just looks like, honestly, this looks like a sea of eels to me and not waves. Because pretty much that's what it is. He somehow looks like waves. Again, because he's probably done it for 20 freaking years. But that's okay. It doesn't have to be spot on perfect. Yet. In the future, maybe. Maybe it will be. But it's okay. What I might have to do is one of two things. Either watch his video and do it live as he's doing it and pause before I get to each next step, or watch it and document it and write down the steps, and then I mark them off as I complete them. Because trying to remember it, like half an hour or an hour after watching it, I'm forgetting steps. So I might have to do that. Watch it over again while I do it, which is fine. We can do that. How was the volume down on that? Oh, I actually have it down on there. No wonder it was so low. Oh, that's going to be blasting when I resume it. Let's get deafened, everybody.
Using watercolours, following my very simple and straightforward process. So, I think it's about time we got started, don't you? Let's get the brushes wet.
Paul Hopkinson.
Okay, the first thing you want to do is get some tape around the paper. We need to make sure that it's firmly stuck down because it will warp a little bit as we add the water onto the paper.
We can do it again.
And I'm just using a low-tack, nearly invisible tape. Also crease down
Nearly
the corners
invisible.
as well. Use your finger or your nail. Because when we add the water, very often the water goes into these little corners there and gets underneath the tape, okay? Okay, and grabbing an old brush, a little bit of water, drop some water into my mixing wells first of all. Probably a couple of drops or so each, something like that will do. First of all, I'm going to go for my Payne's grey. Now this is very loose now, so just squeezed out of a tube. But I need plenty in there. I'm going to make this more of a milky consistency, I'd say. Now I do have a video on how to fill the half pans as well. I'll pop a little link to the top right hand corner for you if you're interested, okay? And always make sure you've got more than you think you'll need. We'll thicken this down later on anyway. And then I'm going to go into the indigo and pop that one in there. Again, more to a milky consistency. And then I need a little bit of green, so I'm going to go for a little bit of iridium green. So it's quite a bright green iridium. Any sort of bright green will do.
Yay!
Emerald green, you could use phthalo green, anything like that.
Thank you for following.
And I think that will do for now. Now, wetting the paper. I'm going to
Welcome
use a
welcome to the club.
mop brush. And this is a squirrel hair mop brush, but you can get synthetic versions as well.
What can we call ourselves? I mean, like anyone on Twitch with bear in their name, you guys could be the Bear Den, but I don't know. We'll figure something out someday.
So first thing you want to do is wet the paper, but wet it at least 2 or 3 times, because at least that way
Gonna turn him down a little bit.
Wetter longer. Now this paper I'm using today is a 140-pound arch paper, and let that soak into the paper just for a minute or so. Now do the same again over the top, and then probably a third time as well.
Well,
So unless you've stretched your paper, you start to see the paper warp a little bit, and that's because it's really wet obviously on the top. Now this will dry fairly flat afterwards, but I'd recommend for this sort of method either to stretch your paper first of all, or use a block pad which is already kind of sort of pre-stretched in a way and glued all the way around the edge. If you've never used a block pad before, again I've got a little video for that to the top right, okay? Okay, that should be sufficiently wet now. That'll do, yeah, that'll do. Now I'm going to use a very large brush, a size 18. This is a Pan Art Series 1181 Premium Mop, and this is a synthetic brush. So if I wet it first and take most of the water off, could stay to that now, it's wet, I know. I'm going to start off with a little bit of the Payne's grey, okay, right at the very top of the paper, and start to paint that in. Then I'm going to go in with a little bit of indigo straight over the top. Look at that. Whoa. That's a fantastic colour, isn't it? It really is. I'm going to bring this one all the way down towards the middle or thereabouts. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to start to increase that colour again around here. Okay, trust me on this.
I'm running out of Payne's
Make sure
Gray.
most of that paint is off the brush and then go back to where you started and then blend that out. Sort of the horizon, really. Something like that will do. I'm going to start bringing this colour down now. I'm going to increase the intensity of the colour as well, just by adding a little bit more pigment onto the paper. And then we get a little bit of our green, drop that in there as well, not much, it's very strong. Very strong, in fact. Okay.
His laugh kills
and then a
me.
small amount of the Payne's Grey, just down the very bottom. You find the sea will reflect the sky, so it's going to be the same sort of colours throughout the sea and the sky. Now, if it's too much, take most of that paint off the brush, like so, and then very lightly, just very lightly blend and gently lift some of that paint off, like that, just to soften it down. I'm going to get some kitchen roll, all folded up like that. I'm going to take it down the side of my paper, just to neaten it out, to get rid of that surplus water off my board here. A little tip as well, before you dry it, what you can do, grab yourself a size 4 brush, something like this one here, and this particular one, out of interest, is a Rosemary & Co. Series 301, as I say, size 4. And what you can do is lift off a little bit of paint in places, get some kitchen roll in your hand, like that, and then gently, very gently,
The Barely Gang, I like it. The Barely Watching, the Barely Watchers, maybe.
And because it's still damp,
Barely Watching, I like.
This will fade as well as it dries. Keep rinsing that brush out every now and then and give it a quick dry. And it's just lifting off a little bit of paint here and there to create the beginnings, the very beginnings of some waves as well, or just ripples on the water even. And vary the thickness. You can see how well that's blending back together again. Now the only thing is, when you start doing something like this, what will happen is that the paper will start to dry. And if you look sideways at that sheet of paper and look across the sheet of paper, you find that where you first applied that paint, i.e. the top, will start to dry the soonest, of course. So therefore, you've got to be careful. If you start going any higher, then you will start to lift off more paint than you want to lift off. You want these to be very faint and very blurry. So it's got sharp edges on there, that means it's starting to dry around there at the moment. So just a few basic effects is all we're after here to begin with.
Right.
You find as well, if it doesn't lift off very well and just kind of blends back in together again,
Basic
it's a bit too
effects.
damp at the moment, so just give it half a minute or so and then do the same thing. They can lightly blend them if they're a little bit too sharp. And I think that will do. Now I'm going to give it a quick blast with the hairdryer. Okay, it's nice and dry.
Wait, stop.
I'm going to use this.
Okay, geez, let's catch up to where he's at. We have to get to the point where it can dry, so we'll keep picking up a little bit here. There's definitely a... Oh, excuse me. Sorry for coughing in your ear. That was totally unplanned. Yeah, the paper is welling water right here. Because it's buckling right there. Because it's such cheap paper. Okay. Barely gained. Barely watchers. Barely present. Oh. Barely here. Oh. Barely alive. And I turn that off, it gets really quiet. Right? Thinner brush is definitely the way to go for these. Because over here it was way too much coming up. Oh, that's too big. Yeah, a bit there. A little bit there. A lot. Whoa, that's a big one. Okay, we have a couple big ones. That can be a big wave. All right. Dry. Whoa, let's knock all of our brushes off the back of the table. Let's grab my heat gun. Ah, do what he said and dry the edges. Oh, that's better. Yeah, got us. So while it was still pretty darn wet, yeah, I cleaned off my brush, dried it, and then I'm just rubbing off some of the wet paint, uh, and then drying it on this towel. So it was still pretty heavily wet from the paint being on it, and then pulled some off. You could probably just wet the brush and let it get damp and lightly rub on there and then blot it. You know what I mean? Like if we can try it. If we go over here and grab some clean water and like pick a spot to rub on to wet and like reactivate it, and then you hit it with a paper towel, you see how it lightens up right there in that spot. You could probably do that if you do like a really thin line and you just go over it very carefully and then blot it with the paper towel. It'll probably come up. Yeah, just a little bit. It's not great, but I think probably blotting it up while it's fresh and still wet is the better bet. It's like a side way to do it. I don't think it's as accurate. I think while it's wet, it lets it come up a little bit thinner. But scrubbing it, I think, unless you use the brush that he shows here in a minute, it's a lot harder to do. He uses, do I have one? Let me look. Like, I don't think I have what I'm looking for. I don't have it in brush form, but the brush that has like a wedge tip on it, kind of like this is silicone, but if you have come on, focus, you jerk. Yeah. So if you had a brush that had like a wedge tip on it, you could wet it and then like scrub in a line shape. And you probably, I mean, this is silicone, but it might work. I don't know. I've never tried. If I try to do like right in the middle of this wave and just like scrub it a little bit back and forth. Yeah, that was more than I meant to, but that worked. But if it's a wedge, I think you got a narrower straight line kind of tip on the edge of it. You can have a better chance at scratching away like a line of it. So that's interesting. It's interesting to consider. Let me clean that off and go back to drying. All right, put you back, mister. Whoop, I forgot this comes right out. It comes out easily, but it's a bitch to put back in. Let me see if I can squeeze it back in there. Go back in the hole. Get in there. There we go. There we go. Weird that that comes out so freaking easy. You think it wouldn't. It shouldn't. It should be like firmly encased in there, but I'm sure they make it easy to come out for cleaning, I guess. These are for sculpting. It's got a metal tip on one end and a silicone tip on the other. I've been using it to paint masking fluid. This masking fluid right here. When you need to use masking fluid, if you use a regular brush, it just permanently adheres to the bristles and it's just a bitch to clean. So I bought these silicone tipped for sculpting brushes. And it works really well because the glue, the rubber, doesn't stick to the silicone. It comes right off. Easy to control. I've got a bunch of them over here with different tips on them. Some have like pointy little wedge shapes, and then some are more conical instead of. Sorry, you probably can't see it very well because it's not focusing. Yeah, there we go. It's got a pointed tip. Yeah. Anyway, it's probably dry just from me yapping at it, but let me finish drying it off really quick. Do 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 do. Wonder Woman. That's a show I'd probably watch a remake of. They brought back Wonder Woman and have like Linda Carter to get a guest star on it. That'd be pretty hot. I'd watch that. What's next?
Size 2. This is a Tintoretto series 1337.
Fibristic, have to go. Thanks for this. I will still watch the rest on video. Have a great evening. Thank you. You too. Thanks for hanging out with me. Appreciate it. Have a great night. See you later. Bye. All right.
So I'll try that one first of all and see how well that one works.
You would love a new Wonder Woman show, right? Me too. It would be so good. It'd be so good. Oh, it would have to be good. They'd have to make it right, right? There's no way they'd get it wrong. It's Wonder Woman.
Okay.
We hope.
The first thing I want to make sure of is that the colours are still quite milky. I don't want them too thick at this stage.
Milky
So
colors.
Okay, something like that. Give it a tap or two.
All
If you're
right.
not sure, get some scrap paper and just give it a quick test on some scrap paper. So you see how bright it is. Wow.
This is where I'm going to use the script brush.
We'll try that one first of all and see how it goes.
So number one script brush.
Ready. Let's do it. Oh, excited. I'm going to start further down because if it is too strong, then at least then you know you're fine further down. But obviously when you go higher up as well, you want this to be very pale the higher that you go. So when you go probably to this height here, then you want the lines to be fairly pale around that area there. Now, the lines themselves, I'm just going to apply the paint very lightly to begin with, using just horizontal strokes. That's it. Sometimes you can go a little bit wayward, make them slightly curved if you want to. Depends on the sea, depends on what kind of effect that you want. If you want a sea that's quite rough, then you need like little M's, elongated M's, that sort of thing, or bumps. Little hillocks. Anything like that. Just to create some texture on the water. That's all I'm doing to begin with. Very lightly, barely touching the paper, so literally 2 hairs in the air. That's all it is. Okay, a little bit more. Don't overload that brush. So I'm going to load it, I'm going to give it a roll, pull it away, give it a tap or two on some kitchen roll, and then start to apply that once again. As you get lower down, these lines are going to get thicker and more pronounced. So what I'm going to do down here, I'm going to apply the line like this and then put some little bit of weight on the brush, then pull off like that. So again, pull off. Again, pull off. So it gets a nice sort of tapered edge. A bit like a leaf shape.
Okay.
Really, isn't it?
I'm doing the same mistake. I'm using the script brush for the tapered bed.
As I say, the higher up the paper that you go, the thinner the lines will be, and the lighter the lines will be as well.
What did I do?
Let's do a few more now. As I mentioned, thin them out and lighten them.
This is a script brush.
The paint's great. Give it a bit of a mix because it does separate sometimes when you're mixing.
This is a script brush.
Start off with a fully loaded brush. And I'm going to go down here actually.
It's a bit too big. Let's go for this one.
Safety really to begin with, just to make sure it's about right. Then add those thicker, darker lines, taper, remember? Put on the pressure and then come off that pressure as you come away. And it depends if you want a wave in there as well. I mean, I might want a little wave probably around there. So I'm going to just lift that up a little bit there as well. I also find that if I leave a few light gaps in between as well, so you can see where the light areas are, then it's going to help the differences in colours. Even though we're using just 3 colours, at the moment anyway, I'll show you another one in a bit, okay? Let's go for some green. Oh, look at that. I'll tell you what I'm going to do actually. Oh, it's very bright, isn't it? I'm going to get a little bit of our indigo, just pop it in there, just to kind of tint it a little bit. So it's a little bit too bright, that green. Look how bright that green is, very bright. I'm going to just a touch of this in places now. Maybe a little bit more blue in there. That's better. Try that. Just to brighten up certain areas. And these are the areas are going to have just those little ripples in places.
Whoa, that's too much.
Blend this shortly as well. It's a little bit too bright. Probably a little bit down there, a little bit down there, and a little bit down there.
I think I made my area down here too dark.
Clean brush. Take most of the water off. Then very lightly blend the green areas. A bit more water therefore. Just lightly blend them.
That didn't work.
Like so. I can even put a little bit of watery green, very watery, so a little bit of water in the corner there. Just in places, just for a tint of colour in places around the water. There you go, something like that.
Yeah, it's just like that.
Small amounts of lifting off, and this particular brush is a Rosemary & Co. Eradicator. It's a small one as well. You've got two different sizes, I think. So dampen that brush down. Okay, take a little bit of water off, not too much. They can use that to start to lift off a small amount of paint in places as well. So say, for example, you wanted a highlight coming down the centre, where maybe the sun, which is in the clouds, just catching the water towards the middle. They can start to lift off little highlighted areas like this. Now, when you use a brush like this, or you can use your homemade one, I do have a video on that, by the way, on how to make your own sort of lifting off brush. Have a look to the top right hand corner for that one. I'm going to try lifting off a few little lines here and there above each individual wave which I've got. Just create some highlighted areas there. Now also bear in mind that the further away you go again, these lines need to be smaller. So if you're going to lift off paint higher up in this area here, do some very tiny marks like this, look, very, very tiny. So they're barely discernible. But just about making like there's just one odd one there now, look. Now if you do use a brush like this, make sure as well that your brush is more vertical. Again, it's difficult for me to show you that on the camera because of the angle of the cameras. Otherwise my hand will just simply get in the way. If you
Right. Let's see. Wow, I have a lot to catch up on. I did not like the Wonder Woman from the movies. Okay. She was pretty good. She was pretty badass. I mean, it is what it was. Wonder Woman is supposed to be a strong-ass Amazon, and they picked a model with two big limbs that just couldn't bite. That is true. There's been a few attempts at a Wonder Woman pilot show, but they keep falling through, and one of them has some who would have been perfect. She already played a badass character on something else. Oh. I'm sure I'll come back. It takes time for them to find the right casting, I'm sure, for that kind of thing. I'm not proud of these waves. I'm not feeling it. Water is so hard. Who knew? I mean, everybody. Water is so incredibly hard to paint. Can I just get some giant ass waves? Nope, that's not a wave anymore. It's now just a mess. Hello, here I go again. All right, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna go crazy. You ready for this? All right, so how about we grab some arches and we just get better paper? I know better paper is not the miracle cure, just like having the world's best quality paint doesn't fix things. But let's just give it a shot on some better paper. Yeah, we're gonna go with thicker paper, better paper, the best paper. Let's peel this back. And that one over there. Oh, it's Thursday. Thank goodness for that. I have to go in the office tomorrow and do some stuff because somebody else was off, and so I have to be the one to go in to do the thing instead. That's fine. It is what it is. Yeah. Yeah, still, even stuff that you're not proud of looks better when you peel back the tape. All right, get those out of here. I'm gonna go grab some Arches paper, BRB.
Listen to me very carefully, because I'm only going to say this once. Coffee. Black.
Coffee. Black. While I've got your attention, there are...
Coffee first.
Well, this mentor would like another cup of coffee.
I'm just gonna have to give up coffee. Want some coffee?
If I'm not mistaken, that's your third cup this morning.
Fourth, and on a day like today, it won't be my last. Coffee. The finest organic suspension ever devised. Commander, set a new course. There's coffee in that nebula. Listen to me very carefully, because I'm only going to say this once. Coffee. Black.
Coffee. Black. While I've got your attention, there are...
Coffee first.
Well, this mentor would like another cup of coffee.
I'm just gonna have to give up coffee. Want some coffee?
If I'm not mistaken, that's your third cup this morning.
Fourth, and on a day like today, it won't be my last. Coffee. The finest organic suspension ever devised. Commander, set a new course. There's coffee in that nebula. Listen to me very carefully, because I'm only going to say this once. Coffee. Black.
Coffee. Black. While I've got your attention, there are...
Coffee first.
Well, this mentor would like another cup of coffee.
I'm just gonna have to give up coffee. Want some coffee?
If I'm not mistaken, that's your third cup this morning.
Fourth, and on a day like today, it won't be my last. Coffee. The finest organic suspension ever devised. Commander, set a new course. There's coffee in that nebula. Listen to me very carefully, because I'm only going to say this once. Coffee. Black.
Coffee. Black. While I've got your attention, there are...
Coffee first.
Well, this mentor would like another cup of coffee.
I'm just gonna have to give up coffee. Want some coffee?
If I'm not mistaken, that's your third cup this morning.
Fourth, and on a day like today, it won't be my last. Coffee. The finest organic suspension ever devised. Commander, set a new course. There's coffee in that nebula. Listen to me very carefully, because I'm only going to say this once. Coffee. Black.
Coffee. Black. While I've got your attention, there are...
Coffee first.
Well, this mentor would like another cup of coffee.
I'm just gonna have to give up coffee. Want some coffee?
If I'm not mistaken, that's your third cup this morning.
Fourth, and on a day like today, it won't be my last. Coffee. The finest organic suspension ever devised. Commander, set a new course. There's coffee in that nebula.
You're darn right there's coffee in that nebula. Okay. I'm back. And I brought out the Arches. How scary. And some coffee, because I figured why the hell not. Good enough for Janeway's good enough for me. Oh, hey. Mushu Pork Bun. What a great name. Thank you so much for following. Welcome in. What am I doing today? Well, the question is, what am I trying to do today? I have some coffee and that'll show you my mess. So you can see in the top right corner, there's a gentleman that I'm trying to follow a tutorial on for trying to paint water. Where what it ends up looking like is this. Excuse me. And what I have done is this. Note the similarities. They end pretty rapidly. So I'm going to do my damnedest to try to do this on larger paper, and paper that has a better capability to hold on the water. Because this that I'm practicing on is the cheapest paper I own. But I wanted to try some like quick scratch attempts at this process on before I hit the good paper. But you know what? It is what it is. Hey, you know what else I realized? Earlier I smacked my camera and I tilted it. So let me put that back. Because It got out of alignment. I smacked it earlier and totally didn't mean to. There we go. Sorry about that. We've all been cocked at an angle for all this time. All right. Let's grab ourselves a sheet of paper. I swear I had another block of this or another pad of this arches somewhere. I clearly do. I'm probably just not seeing it over there. I thought I had 2 pads of this left. I'm going to have to go through and check carefully because I could be low on this. I'll be gentle with it. And worst case scenario, arches is very expensive. I'll just get like 1 replacement at some point and just hold on to it. Arches is really expensive. It's like, so last time I saw it was like $26 or $27 for 1. So yeah, I found out that you can get it way cheaper on Amazon if you get a subscription for them to send it to you. I was considering adding that because it takes off a decent chunk of money to put it on a subscription, and then you can have them do it on a schedule of your choosing. So you can get like 1 every 3 months. 4 of these in a year at like a significant discount per is actually a really good deal, and it replaces it at a rate that you could probably afford. So I'm really considering doing it at some point. I just haven't pulled the trigger on it yet. But if I'm actually really low, if this is my last pad, I've only got, after what I just pulled, it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sheets left. And it comes with 12. If I don't have any more, I'll need to start that sub. But I'll wait until I'm a good bit lower on this because I rarely use it. I have to trust what I'm doing is going to be good before I'm willing to use it. I'm making a major sacrifice using it right now, so we'll see how it goes. So yes, welcome in. You're seeing me absolutely not at my finest. Practicing something that I've barely ever done, like my name implies. Yeah, it's tragic, that's for sure. But we'll see. Something miraculous might come out of it. We'll see. I will be honest, I have been taking some of my work life and some of the stress and bringing it into painting, which I should not be doing. The purpose of this is to help me chill the F out. And I have been letting some of the stress of the day follow over whenever I have a particularly bad day where I feel like I just am having a difficult time of it, or other people are making me have a difficult time of it. When I come here to paint, where I'm supposed to relax, I find that I am doing things wrong out of myself. And, I realize now, saying it out loud, it always takes me saying it out loud to understand where I'm going wrong with something. Maybe half the problem is that I'm doing or painting things that are too serious. I'm trying too hard to learn a new skill while I'm trying to hone and utilize my existing skill at work, or to deal with other people's lack of skill sometimes. And when I fail at doing something new, when I'm already stressed out, it stresses me out more. Why I do that to myself, I don't know. So maybe we'll let this be the last technical stream for a little bit, and I'll go back to some lazy do I want stuff, abstract. Excuse me. You contradict yourself because practicing is an at your best pastime. People who practice improve, and that is that is effort that is at your best. It's true, but practicing stresses me out if it's something that I've not done, that I'm not great at. So even though practicing should be, in the end of things, a good thing, and it is a good thing, it's a net benefit. But when I'm already stressed out, practicing and seeing the end result and not being proud of it adds to the stress. You know what I mean? The end goal, if I learn from it and get better at it, that is a different story. I then become proud of the thing and I'm happy with it. If I weren't already stressed out about stuff that's going on with work and I were practicing stuff and failing at it, I would probably still be a little upset, but it wouldn't affect me as much. I'd just be like, oh, well, that was garbage. And then I'll just move on with life, and then I'll try it again, and I'll try it again, and I'll try it again. As it stands right now, failure is an option, as they said on Mythbusters, which I can only say because I've been rewatching that recently. It'll be fine. Been really dark and moody recently with all of this. I think it's, I don't know, it's stuff I can't talk about, but the end of it is, it's ironic to me more than anything, because I found watercoloring when I was at my lowest at work. I was absolutely stressed out to the max, and this is just beautiful by comparison on arches. Putting water on this, it just looks amazing. Like, it can do anything. The paper makes a difference. Like, this has been wet. Do you see the reflection in this and how even it is? The other paper buckled instantly. And this paper is thicker. It is even. The water on it is even. Like, the paper makes a difference. It's not worth it to practice on unless I find giant sheets of it cheap and I cut them down to size to the same 5x7 or so to practice with and have big practice sheets of the stuff. But man, arches is just some quality paper. Okay. I'm going to let that sit for a moment, and then I will hit it with another pass of water. But in the meantime, we can jibber jabber. Yeah. It's let me take this guy off the corner here because I don't really need him up right now. There we go. Ads are in progress. Whoa. All right. We'll let it sit for a minute. Yeah, man. I just, work. What can I say? It's just what it is. It's crazy. Like, I want to talk about it, but I know I shouldn't, because all it takes is one person watching from your work, and you might not have a job anymore because you say something just offhand comment. So I just can't talk about it fully. Like, I want to talk about like the emotion of things, but it's hard to do that without going into the details. Like, I do my freaking damnedest not to talk about work. It's crazy. But with my job, I just, well, stuff. I don't miss workplace stress at all. Yeah, tell me about it. It's a thing. It's I know what I want, and I can't always make other people think in the same way I do. And I know that's just how people are. I'm fine with that. But when I know something will or will not work, and then other people are like, let's do this and let's do that and let's do the other, I'm like, slow down, hold up, turbo. It's not going to work, and here are the reasons why. Well, why not? I'm literally telling you why. Well, but why not? Why can't you do it? It's like, and you just amp up and get really irritated about it. It's craziness. It's just craziness. And eventually it gets through. And sometimes it takes other people that are calmer than you to reiterate what you said. And then they're like, oh, I get it now. I didn't understand it when Brian said it. A bear said it. Whatever, you know my name. I mean, it's on my Instagram, so. Get up some of the excess water, and then we'll hit it with that mop brush one more time. It's moist, but it dried a little bit. But what this didn't do is dry. The surface level dried, but if I touch it, it's wet. But on the surface level, I don't see the shininess anymore. But the other paper, when it looks dry, it is dry. It's just evaporated the hell out of it. So this, I think, will at least hold on to the water way better. Let's hit it with another coat of water. A little more on the bottom. Okay, and then we'll up and down to even it out. And then let's go ahead and while this is getting in here, oh, we got a hair. There we go. Let's, got same hair or another one. Get out of here. Get out of here. We don't want you. There we go. Let's mix up some darker versions of our colors over here. All right. Let's get let's go bigger. Let's go for a bigger round brush. All right. Let's get some clean water. Let's get some more Payne's Gray. Well, that well is completely dry. That doesn't do anybody any good. Oh, excuse me. Hiccup. And I'll take one pipette, please. More water. More water. More water. All right. And let's hit it with our Payne's Gray that we picked up. All right, that's very tea-like. Let's get some more. Scrub, 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 scrub. Scrub, 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 scrub. All right, let's get some more. I might have put a little bit too much water in there. Yeah, I think I put way too much water. Payne's Gray. Payne's Gray. What I can talk about that clearly is something that is not a today thing or a tomorrow thing. It's in the future is what a lot of people want. I mean, a lot of people want to not work at all. I mean, that sounds interesting, but how do you make money with that? You can eventually if you can figure it out, but I'd like to come up with a business that is something I can work at, something that, can take hours in a day, but not take up my entire day like my current work does. I don't want to be owning a business and having to put 16 hours a day into it. It's not worth it. Even if it's for like, oh, you have to do that for the first year. No, I'm not going to. I'm telling you that I'm not. And I won't. Right? And it's not like I'm wanting to start a business and then like quit my job. Like I would want to open something and have something going to the side. Maybe someday, a multitude of years from now, if it becomes stable and I need to put more time into it to make it run and be truly efficient and profitable, then yes, I might stop my job. But that's years down the road. I like what I'm doing enough to stay doing it for a while. But as I get older, it gets harder to maintain the desire to do the kind of work that I do. Doesn't stop me from doing it well. It doesn't stop me from it's not like I've lost the ability to do it, but I'd like to put my energy into something joyous that's just for me and mine, you know what I mean? And not for somebody else. Clearly that's the dream for everybody, but it's so hard to break into it to do something, you know what I mean? It's called consulting. This is why older people do consulting. They ask you how to do it and you tell them, then they do it. You don't have to. The idea of that sounds interesting, but I don't understand how to do that. Right, just teach others how to do it for 4 times the pay and enjoy your spare time. I wish it was that easy. It's hard. It's hard for me. I'm in a really weird position. What I do is so weirdly specific. And it's not even like the good kind of weirdly specific. It's the kind that, how do I describe this? It's it's like I there are people that I work IT. We'll start there, right? There are people that have absolutely incredible skill. They're amazing. They're great. They're wondrous. And they are the reason why I aspired to rise up out from doing help desk work to do what I do now, right? It has been three or 4 years since I've been in this current role. And I feel like I just started it sometimes. Like I feel every day like I'm a fraud. Imposter syndrome is real. And no matter how good I am at something or somebody says that I do a great job, it feels like, oh, what a good job. Let's put it up here on the refrigerator and we'll all look at it. What a good job you did. And it feels like everything I do is like that. And it's not. And I can see that. I can see that the end goal and the work that I put in to do things is real. And the results are real. And they're measurable. And like the product is tangible and it's right there in your face. You can't help but see it. But my way to get to those answers is not always instinctual or tribal or like I have an eidetic memory and can remember everything. I can't. I have to constantly look things up to remember what I did a couple months ago. But I feel like, and I've said this before, that I don't feel like my ability is in the mass of knowledge I have about a specific topic. What I like doing is being able to know the pieces that I know how to get the knowledge that I need in that moment, and how to do that. Like in mysteries and detective shows and whatnot, where they're trying to solve some sort of crime or mystery or something of that nature, and they've got the map on the board with the push pins and the strings going between them, and they find a way to connect everything, and then they stand back to look at the big picture and try to figure out how to connect the dots. That's the piece that I feel like I'm good at. How do you teach someone that particular skill? Because it feels like a skill a lot of people don't have, the ability to stand back and connect the dots and find a way to say, we're struggling with this thing right here, but over here, if you do it like this, that's working. So why don't we just make this work like this and it will flow just as well? Oh, we didn't think of that. That's the piece that I'm good at. Strategy. Okay, yeah. So, excuse me, I'm good at the strategy part of it. I don't feel like I know how to market that. I don't feel like I know how to learn it better. So I feel like I'm in this like catch-22 where I don't really know enough to do anything. I feel like I'm constantly pushing that rock uphill, trying to be better than I am. And I feel like I'm never going to really be better than I am because I just don't fucking care to look up how to do all of the extra things anymore. I'd love to look up the things to do my job. That I'm fine with, and I like doing. And I feel like I'm fairly good at it. In the moment, I don't. But once I'm done with it and I can look at the after effects and the results of it, then I'm fine with it. And I'm like, oh, yeah, okay, I guess I did do a good job. But yeah, it just, I get tired of it over time. Let's totally have it. So let me catch up. I might have missed a lot. I can tell you how to do it. Just hit me up on Discord sometime. I will give you consulting. HA. Acronyms. They're sometimes tough for me. HA. I don't know what that is. Those are symptoms of habitual negative thinking. You need to retrain your brain to habitually be touting the positives. It's totally just habit. That's called strategy, strategic consulting, strategic thinking. Start with something like, oh, I'm going to look that up. wyzant.com. Okay. You put yourself on Wyzant as a consultant, charge what you want. They keep 25%. Ha, as I'm laughing. Ha. Oh, ha, 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 ha. Now I get it. uh, yeah, sometimes easy to forget that the letters can just be a word in capitals. I don't know why I was like, what does HA stand for? Highly accurate? I don't know. Huge ass? What? What does it mean? Oh my goodness. Sometimes I don't understand the way I think. All right. Last pass of this water, and we're going to get to work on it. I've jibber jabbered enough to to genuinely let it dry this time. Oh, it was actually pretty wet underneath there. That's fascinating. Let's get a little bit more. Okay. But yeah, I'd love to hitch up on that and talk about it and try to find a way to see if what I do, what I know is marketable in any way. Just consulting and contracting scares the hell out of me because I don't want to. It's scary to consider making my life be about a contract job or managing contract jobs, trying to find them, because as soon as you can't find them anymore, you're on the street, it feels like. And that's scary unless you save like an exemplary amount of money, like just a huge, extravagant amount. All right. Now I do have to let this dry because it is buckling, because I think I've gotten it quite wet. But he said to make it wet. That's what I'm doing. Pause, I'm laughing, yeah. I'll have to look that side up and see what it is and how it works. Yeah. It's like, give me your problems and tell me that you can't fix it. And I'm like, okay, well, have you tried this? Like, I feel like I want to be the guy that's Captain Obvious in the fucking room. And at the same time, it feels like a stupid fucking idea for a job. So I don't know if that generally would work. It would probably have to be about IT. It'd have to be about what I know. But I feel like I know, for how many years I've been doing this, I feel like I know 5% of what I do sometimes. It's so weird. Yeah, let's hit it. Okay. Jibber jabber, jibber jabber, jibber jabber. Let's do our Payne's Gray step and get this up here. Oh man, this paper is just a joy to work with. Even if I suck at painting, it makes me feel like I don't suck at painting. Okay. Let's get some more and stick it in here where he did and work it up a little bit more. Yeah, let's work our way back down with it. Mhm. Okay, and let's get some of that indigo and put that up here like he did and bring it down. Okay. That's quite pretty. I'm going to leave that alone. Clean my brush off. Also head to places like EDD, I'll have to look that up, and nonprofits dedicated to helping small business startups that might contract you to regularly provide training to their clients who use the programs. I'm finding putting dots at the top of my wave crest is making them look like waves. Dots of like light? Maybe. Employment Development Department, state agency. Oh. See, you just have knowledge on how to do that. I seriously, you should have days where you just talk about that. I just because you did it. I know. I just, yeah. No, that's the exact reason. I just I'd love to see like like what the hell are they called? Those training courses that people tout online that you can just go be a part of, and you can just pick any genre in there that you want, and you can put your own class there. It seems like you could build classes on what you know and make a decent side hustle with that. Okay, let's move this brush to the side. We're going to switch to a smaller round brush, and we're going to try to do the pick up and get some of the white. Oh, no, wait, we didn't put green in yet. Forgot all about it. Let's put a little bit of the green in here. Just add some in here and just a little bit extra and just get some of that color in there. Yeah, just to get some greenage in it. Okay, now I'll start pulling back some of it. Right, you go over there. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. I keep it small, just the tip, as they say. See, I'm saying just keep it small. I'm doing this giant stripe in it. Okay, so this is just to leave some vacant spaces where it's lighter so that it's not all this uniform color when it dries. Because after we pull this up, after we pull up some of this color and it starts to spread, we dry the paper. I need to keep it narrow. Sorry, I'm kind of spacing out. It is getting close to the end of stream time for me, but we'll try to get this done or mostly done. In worst case scenario, we come back to it Monday. I need to start figuring out when I can take time off again. I've got five more weeks of deployments for what we're working on right now. And at the end of that, I can probably take time off. So I can probably go ahead and figure out what those days are and just schedule them off now. I'll think about that tomorrow. Okay. Don't overdo it. That's a good plan. Don't overdo it. All right. Step back. Clean that brush. Dry it off. I'm going to switch to a new paper towel for that here in a second. Or now. Yeah. If it's wet enough that it can't really dry off the brush and I pick it up and it's a puddle onto the paper towel, it's beyond the time to clean and put on the new ones. So, yeah. New paper towel without ripping my headphone cable out. I really want to open up I mean, it's way too soon for it, but I'd like to open up a shop related to watercolor. It's on my list that I want to do that. Clearly, it's too soon. It's not too soon to plan, too soon to open and spend money on it. But I am working on slowly planning like what I'd like that to look like. Trying to figure out, one, what would I sell? Two, how would I sell it? How will I make it? Where will I source it from? Where would I sell it? How would I get my name out there? How would people know it's a product or that it's a series of products? I know, like most people who stream and someday decide to open up a store selling merch, they're usually selling crap. No offense to them. They're selling t-shirts and, things like by that point, they've got enough followers that they can have other people who are artists and they can commission them to make stuff for them. Um, but that's all they're really selling is just merch with them on it, which is like, it's perfect for the people that need that and do that and have those kind of followers. But for me, it feels kind of conceited. Maybe someday we'll see, and then we'll see how that goes. But for me, what I want to sell is a combination of someday, once I have stuff that I've painted that I am very proud of in a sufficient quantity, I can sell prints on various things, various materials, various sizes. I sell the originals, obviously one of them, but I retain the rights to the digital format of it so I can use it in future art and prints and things that I want to sell, but they will retain the original. And then the watercolor kits I was talking about once, where I want to make watercoloring kits with a variety of supplies in them of varying qualities and sell those kits for varying prices, bulk discounts for people that want a whole bunch for events or kids or whatever they're going to do, parties. But people have done that already, and it doesn't seem massively successful for them. And they are actually well into doing watercoloring and doing it very, very well. I am at best 5 years away from having that kind of skill level to be worth selling any of those sorts of things. So making a shop this year is not going to happen. But I can talk about it and I can think about it and plan for it. Let's try this off. I almost don't want to do anything to this to fuck it up. It's like gradient done, beautiful. It's done with. Stop there. But I have to add to it, so I'll do that in a second. Oh my god, guys, I got so much to catch up on. But it's all great information. I'm caught up to that. Yeah, you don't have to do any of the selling. If I use those side sites where I just upload and they let them prepare everything and I just keep a piece of it, I could to start maybe. I don't know, like, I don't mind doing the work to make things, and, like, I don't wanna be the complete assembly and packaging of everything, like, when it came to prints, I would send that off somewhere else to be made based on how many people order it. It would go to them and they would do the work, but it would, like, make the print and put it on whatever material they want. They would print it on watercolor paper, they would print it on canvas, they can print it on metal sheeting, like, print it on glass, like, they can print it on a variety of materials, and I would go through a service that would do that and then sell my original, in a frame or something for them, right? Or like with wax coating to keep it safe. Um, and I'm happy to do that portion. I have no desire whatsoever to make mugs or shirts or anything like that. I would probably just stick to just the art itself on varying sizes. Maybe stickers, but maybe not. Um, Yeah, and just keep it simple. Like, I wouldn't want to sell a tremendous amount of things. But yeah, the idea in the end of the day is to, as they say, make money while you sleep, right? Like, I want to make enough money to survive on in my sleep and to maintain that so that I can make similar to what I make now or more, preferably, but at least similar to what I make now or better, and it not be quite such a stressful endeavor, and it's all ours. I just worry about paying out all the obvious legal things that I need to take care of, business expenses, taxes, all of the paying for our own insurance, all the things that have to be taken care of and leave the surplus afterward for us. And it actually makes sense. Yeah, it's a little buckled, but it's mostly dry. It's probably enough that I can work on it. Yeah, so I mean that's the idea. It's the dream, but rarely the reality. I know, because you have to make some shit that's addictive that people just can't live without, that you're like currently the only person that can make it. And you just make your business being the only one that can do that somehow. But it's hard to make a product like that that's so unique that you can like patent and lock other people out from being able to make, because everyone's going to copycat once your thing becomes big and then they take all your sales. So you have to make all your sales up front and then just hope that you can coast on that. I don't have a mind for that. A lot of people don't. That's why nobody does it. That's why people work for the man, because there is no choice. It's tough. It's super tough. Marketing the stuff is 20% of it. Marketing and selling is 80. And making the stuff is 20%. Yeah. Yeah, making is the easy part. The man has a marketing department. Yes, he does. The man has money to make money. Come on, I don't want to sit here and get depressed. Let's paint some shit. All right. So I'm just gonna make and just try. Um I got it. Yes. eBay. Let's. As long as I don't fuck it up from here, these waves actually look better. Like I said, don't fuck it up from here. I'm just barely grazing the top of this with hardly any pigment on the brush. I'm just kind of scraping tiny bits of the dark colors around up here. Kind of. Okay, that's fairly safe. Now what? Uh, where went it from? You're already doing a lot towards it just by streaming your art, but, and this is a big but, you have to stop talking like your work is crap because nobody will want to buy crap. You have to say, oh, wow, this is coming out so great because people believe what you say. Case in point, I'm married right now. You're right. You're right. I have to be more positive about what I do, especially when things are like genuinely better than anything I've ever done before. Everything's an improvement, even if it is, in my mind, garbage. You're right. You're right. Positive thinking, and positive speaking. That's tough. I'm so good at talking myself down. But you're right. You're right. I should adjust my brain on that and try to get better at learning to hype myself a little better. That'll come with time. I'm sure I'll figure that out. And let me get some of that wiped off there and try to. I need to switch to a script brush. Do that. I think maybe we go here. We go deep. And we try to do. Okay. Kind of like tapping an outline on top of the little waves. That's darker up close. I need to darken that. Okay. Similar there. Hi, Comet. Hey, Betty. Just hanging out. Betty, what gives? Are you still sitting there? Play with me. All right, buddy, in a minute. Take some of this. Let's really dry it off and try to get some of these lines in here. It feels like it just disappears. Gets a tiny bit dry and it's like, bam, gone. Which is the idea. It is the idea. Your brain and emotions will begin to believe whatever you habitually say to them. It's like we are organic computers, and those words and thoughts are our programming. For example, I love how mine came out, but it looks nothing like dudes. Like nothing like dudes. Well, I get you. No, I just need to be better at liking the things that I do. It's difficult because my whole life has been a life of service. And I don't mean that like I'm a slave to anything, because it's a terrible word to even use. But, you start life or you start work life. Hell, I started life like in my family, just working basically for the family. And then I work food service, and then work retail, and then work customer service, and then work IT service. And I'm finally in a role where I am like the project owner or the product owner. And I still feel like I'm in all of those previous positions, even years later, after I've moved beyond them. Mainly because of the product that I do deals very specifically with the group that does the service that I used to be a part of. And I am still part of that group because I have to help support them directly. I'm like literally their one line of support above them. So it just makes it feel like I've not grown beyond that yet. You know what I mean? And so doing things for me that I can be proud of has never really been a thing. In work, it's just get the job done and move on to the next job. You're paid by the hour, shut up and move on. And now that I can do projects that I am the one who designs them and helps plan them out, help figure them out, it's not my money or budget to spend, but I can at least like plan and work with the vendors to help make things work in the way we want them to. And doing this has only been like a year and change. So I've not really been creative, like artistically, before like a year ago. So this is still very fresh in my brain. And I didn't grow up making things to be proud of my work. You know what I mean? It's just very different for me to do that. It doesn't mean I'm never going to like be proud of my work. It's just it's a huge shift in my life at my age to change tracks, to believe that anything I do is good. Yeah, imposter syndrome is real. I very much have imposter syndrome and have had it for years now. And you're right. You're totally right. Saying I'm not good at the things I do make people believe that I'm not good at the things I do because that's what I say. And I feel like I'm honest to a fault all the time. And I want to just say it like it is, even when I'm calling myself out. And everyone's like, no, you're supposed to shut up. Sell how good you are and don't let people see the negative. Hide that. And I'm like, I understand that's what you're supposed to do because that's what everybody expects you to do. But it pisses me off because I just want to be me. And sometimes me is negative. Sorry. Deal with it. And that's just who I am. I don't mean to be. It's just, I don't want to bend my personality to fit the world around me. I'm tired of doing that. I don't want to do that anymore. I understand that's what makes money and makes people happy and makes people think you're a team fucking player. Whatever. I'm not going to sit here and be an ass, but I want to cut to the chase as much as possible. I want to see through all the bullshit that people surround themselves with and just get right to the core of the fucking problem and and solve it and be done with it and just get it over with. That's why I'm like the guy at work that does the long emails, but I explain everything in one email, and then I still get follow-up emails, and then I just refer to my original email and I highlight the part that answered it. And everyone loves doing the tiny half of a sentence responses, and I'm like, I should not have to draw the information out of you. Give me more. I'm the one that gives you more, and it doesn't do me any favors. I'm rambling all over the place. I'm going to stop that, says the guy who should be stopping it and doesn't. What's the next step in this guy's process? He did little artsy bits. He did that. Eventually, I have to end up doing little white caps. He scratched away some of it. Yeah, he did that bit where he pulled some of it away in places to make some white spots. I don't quite know that I've got a brush to do that with. That makes sense. That's small. I might have to do what I literally said and use this little, okay, maybe I'll throw it on the table. I've got a different version of them right here that came in the same set. I think might work a little better. Let me grab some water on it and let's just see what happens when we pick a spot and scrub a little bit away. Nope, that did nothing. How about if I do it here? It doesn't really do much. I think I really would need like a brush to scrub and pull a tiny bit away. The alternative is I think it was him, but do like you did on the other one. Use a knife. Oh, you gotta feed bite-sized pieces to prevent choking, especially with today's generations that grew up on social media, no ability to focus beyond the shorts. Oh, true. Yeah, I hate that because it's people that are older that should know better that do like the one sentence replies, and I just want it done. Like, why should I have to suffer because of your inability to form a complete fucking thought? Oh yeah, see, I like scraping them away like that. It looks way better, and it looks like specks. I kind of like that. Yeah, I'll do that for a few minutes. Instead of painting, I'll just use this X-Acto blade, and I'm just going to scrape away some of the tips of the waves to scrape some of the paint off and get back down to the paper. That was the worst spot to go to because it was wet. I'll let that dry. Let paint dry. Okay. But yeah, just scritchy scratch on the leading edge of the wave and get those little caps. Works better than paint. Especially on the darker bits. I don't want to go too much because it is cotton paper and I'm just going to scrape down to textured paper and cause myself a problem. But the very tips of it, I can do that and that works fairly well. So long as it's dry. Do, do, do. Here comes Speed Racer. He's a demon on wheels. Why is that in my head? I don't know. Yeah, see, the blade is doing a really good job at getting some of the white caps on those. I have to barely make them visible further away. But up close, I can do them and make them look fairly robust. Is probably the right word for it. This one's really dark, so I can, and really close, so I can probably go nuts with it right there. But man, got some hiccups starting. Yeah, that looks pretty good. I could probably do some, have to pick a different angle to do this. Stay. I did get some archy kind of curves in this. That's the same guy that suggested doing the, he called it a scalpel, but I mean, it's just a blade. In this case, an X-Acto blade. The scraping method works really well to pull back some of the paint and get back down to the light that was underneath. I don't want to do all of it, but I can do a little bit here and there and just get some bits showing. Yeah, it's not bad. Let me do some on a couple of these bits over here. Thursday. I knock out what I need to do early tomorrow and come back and work from home the rest of the day. That'll probably work. Oh, or maybe not, because my boss is going to be there tomorrow. Well, maybe not. I guess I'll be there all day. We'll see. I mean, he's chill, so it'll probably be fine, but I guess if I'm there and he stays there, I should stay there too. Well, this is actually a really neat way to get the specks of white on here. Just scraping little tiny bits of it. I mean, yes, it's going to make the paper textured there. But, I mean, once I'm at the point where I'm done and I'm not going to apply any more paint on top of these sections, who cares? It's actually going to be really fine. As long as I don't cut through the paper, it's going to be totally fine. Yeah. Oh, works really nicely. Let's try to get some of that tiny bit further back, but just barely there, and then stop with it, because the further back we get, the less defined it is, and we start getting into like misty in the distance kind of stuff. I don't want to have too much fine detail that far back. I may want to smooth it out a tiny touch. Well, that's not bad. Let's put the cap on this guy. Where did I put it? Oh, it's underneath there. All right, so I'll put that up. I think from here, I could probably do the faintest, and I mean the faintest amount of this green. I say faint, I literally took it down to nothing. Don't want it everywhere, but at least a couple spots where I didn't cover it up with the white from scratching. I could put some of this green color in there and give it just like a hit of the green that's supposed to be underneath. Boop, boop. Mm. Well, you said it got us. You got to be proud of your work, and people will believe it. But I have to be real. After making those few changes and changing to this paper, I'm way happier with this than I was with any other practice runs. And that's genuine. That's not just me being like, oh, I guess I should be positive. Well, here it fucking is. No, I'm really quite happy with this. And add a tiny bit more in areas that need it. I don't want to go nuts with this. I'm just going to go a couple more. And I'm just going to stop. Just going to stop right where I'm at. Because I got to leave those areas where it's light too, Yeah, I'm going to stop there. I'm just leave it alone. Just walk away. I'm happy with it. I'm like, it genuinely looks real. What a change. What a flipping change between where we started to where we are now. Let's zoom in a tiny bit so you can see it up close a little more. Yeah, that looks so much better, doesn't it? Let's just wipe away anything. Hit it one last time with this just to get the last of that green dry. Seriously, I think the only thing I would add if I knew how to add it would be like a boat in the mist. I wouldn't even know where to begin with that. And I'd hate to ruin a really pretty painting. So next time, or the time after that, maybe. But this time I'm leaving it alone. I'm just going to let it do its thing. Just be proud of what I have. Then I can make something new and be proud of that separately. Telling you, anytime that you're like, well, I'm only like 50% proud. As soon as you peel the tape, the rest of the percentage shows up. Yeah, that's pretty amazing. Yes, I am pleased. Wow, it is still damp underneath. Like, seriously, let me hit it with a dryer underneath and then again on top. Yeah, hitting it with a dryer is making it curl this direction. That's wild. Like right here, you could probably watch. I don't know if you're able to see it or not. Of course, it's not doing it on this side. It did over there. It started like curling a little bit. I mean, it's doing it here. That's wild. Yeah, check that out. Had a little bit where the tape wasn't on all the way here, and it must have bled down into it. That's fine. Yeah, no, that came out really good. I'm really happy with that. How's that? Color me surprised. Well, no, that's good. I think I'll clearly leave it there. Clearly we can see where we came from. We went from that to this. I'm sure I could probably do the same thing and fake this out and make it look a little better. Maybe not this one, but this one. And I could try that one too. But if I... Oh, God. I forgot this paper is so thin, it's going to come up even easier than the arches. Gotta say, that scraping technique really changes things. Well, that's a good idea. Just put some rough patches just in the middle where there's no wave, just to show that it's kind of rough in that spot. Not much, just a tiny bit in a couple spots. I don't want to ruin the work that was put in. I mean, it's amazing. Even on garbage, it turns it into waves. That's a really interesting trick to know. Sounds terrible, but it ends up looking good. And like you can extend beyond the dark part of it to Try to lengthen the wave where it's too short, where it's dark. Yeah. And then as it gets closer, do the little side scratchies. Can we recover the garbage? I think we can. Do some sideways scratches in here. Why the hell not, right? That makes it look more like a wave than anything else has. Telling you, the more I do, it actually ends up making it look good. Not weird. Yeah, well, I mean, way to recover garbage. That's so weird. Well, what I thought was garbage. It was perfect because I'm perfect. No, I'm not. Wow, that weirdly made that little one look better. Adding the white picture to it, like it's kind of where I stopped from his process, is adding the white bits in to make it look more balanced. The scratching method, it was rough to do it on this because it's so thin, but on the big one, it's like that. I mean, dynamite. I'll take it. It's subtle, and I appreciate this one. All right, I'm gonna stop yammering. I'm going to go ahead and call it a day. I say that's not bad. I'm going to go ahead and head off. I'll be back on Monday. Let me shout out to Goddess and see if anybody is online that we can raid. Anyone watching, lurking, checking it out later in the VOD, please check out Goddess Whispers. She does amazing things. She is a multi-talented person for damn sure. She streams her crafting, primarily crochet, sometimes watercoloring more recently, sometimes even more abstract fun things like painting with turmeric and putting it out in the sun. That came out really cool. And then gaming as well. So she's all over the place in a wonderful, beautiful, cohesive way. So please check her out. For me, I just do this. I enjoy it. It makes me happy. Let's look for water. Water. That was terrible. Ugh, gross. I opened up Twitch and it went to me, which was gross. Yuck. We've rated OT Party before. I think they're painting. Yeah, why not? Let's raid over to Oak. That's not it. Oak Tea Party. There they are. The painting, we rated them a very long time ago. Let's go hang out and say hi to them for a few minutes. If you like them and know them and watch them, just hang out there for a while. Say hey for me. We can do the little bear raid symbol. We'll do that here in a minute. And we'll head on over. So thank you so much for hanging out with me. Have an absolutely wonderful day. And I will talk to you later. Bear out.
Watercoloring. Hi, welcome, cuties. Hello, I'm Oak Tea. I'm a traditional artist working in ink. Oh my God, Bella sorry, ink and watercolor to bring you beautiful anime girls. Bella Shu, your art is so pretty too. I love it so much. We just got a raid from Bella Shu. Barely watercoloring. Welcome, welcome, cuties. Goddess Whispers, welcome. Hi there. How's it going? Barely. Do you have any art to share with us? Unfortunately, I'm gonna be leaving the stream soon, but cause I gotta go. But I'd still love to show off your art first. Was closing in on the Pickle Oki redeem, but lost $250,000 to a predicament.